Hey everybody, what's going on? Frago here. First off, before the podcast starts, I just want to say thank you for all the support on my videos the past couple weeks and for this podcast series. It's only getting started. I want to continue to improve it and continue improving the way I pronounce and work with these guests. Unfortunately, I'm not happy with my intro of the guest of this episode, so I'm going to redo it right now. This man has done a lot for the gaming community, and as a Canadian and all that, I just would really like to give him the best intro possible. So today's guest is a good friend of mine, one of the founders and community leaders for Greater Toronto Halo, which is a local community in Toronto that plays or creates weekly and monthly events in the Halo community. He is the Canadian ambassador for Gamers Outreach. He's a tournament organizer and the community manager for Reciprocity. Martin Omes is our guest this week. Please drop a like for this episode. I really appreciate it. Show this man some love. All his social medias and such will be down below. If you're from Toronto, you got to check out one of these Greater Toronto Halo events. Anyways, guys, thank you again for all the support and enjoy this episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome to FragTalks podcast, episode 3. Today we're here with Martin Omes. He is one of the founders of GT Halo, helps out with a bunch of different things when Halo, used to help with running Halo events. Gamers Outreach he is a part of, and welcome, Martin.
Thank you very much. Happy to talk here and ready to get on with our topics for the day.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you being here. So let's start off, for maybe not everybody who knows who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Martin, and what you're all about.
So in the gaming sphere, I work as the operations coordinator in Canada for Gamers Outreach Foundation. It's a charity organization which focuses on providing accessibility for children through video games for children staying in sick kids hospitals through the gaming cart program. So we built portable video gaming carts to help give that accessibility towards technology and video games to help not only the sustainability of the children staying in the hospitals, but those working as well. I work as the community manager for Team Reciprocity, which is a popular organization that has pro teams in many different esports, such as Rainbow Six, PUBG, and more. So I work with everything with the players, dealing with the communities. You have a little bit of the social media stuff. So there's many different aspects. I do a lot of the scouting for the team. So there's many different aspects with Reciprocity I do work with. Like you said, I help out at a lot of events here in Canada and in America. So I help as the head TO or the events manager for various different events in Call of Duty, Halo, Gears of War, many console type games. And then and then GT Halo, like you mentioned, Greater Toronto Halo. I work right now as the head of the program, where we are an HCS grassroots partner as well, and we work with HCS to hopefully continue to grow community Halo and to continue growing and fostering future Halo players.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you really are jack of all trades when it comes to the esports scene. So to get into how you... well, gaming and the esports scene and a lot of other things, but what got you into gaming originally? So what was like the original thing where you're like started gaming?
I didn't even start out as a gamer, so sports has always been my life growing up. Sports has always been the main thing for me, and you could just say friends were the key thing in that. So a lot of my friends played some sort of video games, so we'd go outside after school, play some street hockey until very late at night, until street lights came on, and then you'd go to, when it got dark out, you'd go to someone's house and you just hang out. Video games were one of the things we do, so playing games like Warcraft 3 on dial-up internet, or N64 Smash, or whatever the games may be. There's various different options. So Uh, yeah, my story in gaming is quite different than a lot of other players, to where I didn't latch on to the competitive gaming scene right away. I was more just a casual player playing with friends. To where I was then attending, I was actually starting to attend events before I even owned a console. So
Oh
I
shit.
didn't own my first console until Xbox 360. Although I played a lot on the Xbox and attended events for the original Halos and such. So it's quite interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So Halo definitely wasn't the first game you played, or wasn't the thing that got you into the scene. But what ended up bringing you to Halo? Just your friends playing from the
Yeah, Halo was the popular game at that time, so
yeah,
friend Mike, shout out to him. Yeah, we'd always go to his house or someone else's house on a weekend, so it'd be like a Saturday. We'd carry the CRTVs to someone's
yeah,
house, and like I said, we'd play outside, play some sort of a game. Basketball, street is
yeah,
normally street hockey. Like
yeah,
our neighborhood was big on street hockey. We'd always get like 20 kids show us, and then when the street lights came on, we're now okay, time to go inside, and then we'd just play Halo until the sun came up.
yeah. Until everybody started passing out in their seats. so so then from Halo, where you started, you got your own 360. When was it Halo 3 when you started being like, I want to compete a little, or when was it
I
where?
was competing back in Halo C and Halo 2,
Oh,
actually.
really? Damn.
And I was going to my local events, wherever it would be, like Dork Army back in 2006,
Yeah.
Aurora, or the beginning of We Got Games, to where we were playing tournaments. Yeah, there's many different things. So I was going to events with my friends. So my only knowledge so I showed up to events. I guess I never actually played much, but just from watching my friends and then seeing stuff like MLG on TV in 2006 and picking up on tips, I
Right.
learned a lot just from watching
Okay.
that before playing. So when I did play, even though I didn't have that gun skill, although I didn't have the familiarity with a lot of the maps, I knew just from watching them where to go, where to be, and different things to do during the games.
Nice. So from okay, so then a very like different way to get into esports than most people, rather than just being like, oh, I see these people playing, instantly start playing at home. You kind of developed from going with your friends to watching it to being like, okay, I'm gonna start playing it a little bit. Started playing Halo CE, Halo 2. Uh, we have a mutual friend that's here in Calgary, Pat Spankham, who likes to tell the story of how you guys met, how he wanted to go to an event, and so did you, and you guys ended up carpooling to I can't remember which event it was.
Providence,
Yeah,
2011.
yeah. And so he loves telling that story of how you guys met and went and played Halo at Providence together, even though you just
Did
were
he tell you how we met?
uh it was through the MLG forums or something like that. Yeah.
Was just talking on MLG forums, and we found out we were a few hours away from each other, and we are like, you know what, let's go to the event. So we drove like 8 or 9 hours first time meeting each other, and drove that long time, and went to the MLG event. It was a Halo Reach event.
Oh, okay, okay.
And Black Ops 1, and some of those Black Ops 1 series, I wish I can find the VODs from, because some of those games from there on the main stage were some of my favorite of all time.
Oh yeah, yeah. Black Ops 1 and was one of my favorite times. That was when I first started getting into esports myself. I had seen a lot of the Halo stuff and heard about it, but I didn't have any friends or anything in that scene at the time. But I used to play it at home by myself or with friends, I should say. But like didn't know about the whole esports and gaming things. Only heard like whispers. I remember when Halo 3 came out, my parents got me the guide for Halo, and it had the MLG logo on the back, and I was like, "Oh, what is this?" But never, never got enough like chance to look into it any further until, yeah, till Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 is when I really got into it and started watching it full time. But
Yeah, like I got into it by complete accident, to be honest. Like just convinced to go to a tournament at a local high school, and the guy who won the event, was talking about, oh, why don't you come to this event and just go in. I was like, all right, why not? Because that's the thing with my personality. You just say, why say no? Like, all right,
yeah,
sure, if you got nothing going, I'd rather go experience and do stuff.
yeah,
And yeah. just led me up, and just found the world itself just naturally.
So from the point of you playing, when did you transition to start saying, okay, I'm gonna help out or start running some of these events yourselves or yourself?
So with myself, like I said before, sports was always the priority for me, and
Yeah.
I never actually played much video games growing up. Like I said, majority of my thing was just from watching or just when I go to a friend's house. So it's just just a transition of, well, if I don't have the time to really play and do much, but I got to know the gaming community, gaming scene, I'd still like to do something, because being a spectator, although it was cool the first time, like just to be able to meet everyone, see everything, once you go a second time, it's just like, all right, you know what, the magic isn't exactly there.
Yeah.
So I wanted to be able to just like, you know what, let me try to get involved. So it's just volunteering for events. So I took a bus to one of the events, got stopped at the border, pulled over at the border on the bus, got asked a lot of questions, but and then just, yeah, just I had a lot of fun helping out, and just kept wanting to keep doing it, and it just progressively got more and more to where, yeah, I got even more interested in what I was doing.
Yeah, that's such a cool way that you got into it. Is just most people like had the idea of like that's exactly what they wanted to do, or were playing for so long and just decided, oh, they just wanted to be a part of the scene, and they just knew they didn't have the skill, and you came in kind of this weird like your friends did it, you wanted to just kind of check it out because that's your personality. It's really cool how your story went. So from the point of you starting to run these events, did GT Halo just kind of, or Greater Toronto Halo just kind of morph into that? Then is just like you're like just help start putting these events together locally.
So that was more a mixture of different people, like Kyle Crisens.
Yeah.
He was actually, he's the creator of the whole group,
Oh,
actually.
okay.
He's the head creator. Like, he's the one who put it together. Like, obviously we worked together and continue to run it, and I took a lot of the reins on the organizing. But he decided, like, let's make a Facebook group and just find where these local players are. People were meeting at these events. Let's just make a Facebook group, and we just called it, because our area is called the Greater Toronto Area of Toronto and all the surrounding areas. So
Yeah.
we just named ourselves Greater Toronto Halo. Not the most imaginative names, but it fits.
No, it was. I remember when I lived in Ontario for a while, and that's how I m- ended up meeting you and everybody kind of in the Greater Toronto Halo scene was through the Facebook page that got recommended to me. Just
Remember when Facebook was the all end all be all?
yeah, exactly, and it just randomly got it uh, recommended to me, and I think I had one mutual friend or something in it, and I was like, oh, I didn't like, wow. And then like I started getting involved that way. Unfortunately, I ended up moving away before I could go to any of the big events because I actually lived 2.5 hours away from Toronto. But I ended up taking like what you guys have been doing, and that's when I like was like, I'm going to do this in Calgary because I want to build something and have something where I can find all these players to play with here in Calgary. And I thought it was a really good idea, and we have a small, way smaller than GT Halo, but small dedicated community of people here in Calgary now. But I remember when I first envisioned it and was getting the logo made, all I could think is because it was going to be red, it was like it's kind of cool because it's East versus West Canada, and it's going to be red versus blue. And I was like, it's gonna be this big like fun rivalry. Oh man, I cannot speak. But between Toronto and Calgary, but the skill gap was a little higher than anticipated between Toronto and
Yeah,
Calgary.
but like you said, you're starting. We've been established for over 10 years.
Yeah,
It's just having the patience to be able to grow and have the players continue to want to show up and be at the events and wanting to learn. And that's the
yeah,
key thing. People don't have that patience and realize it's a long term game. It's not a
yeah,
short.
yeah. Once the page is there, I mean, once the group is there, and it, like we, like me and Steven or Silos, as you know, who's a good friend and avid Halo CE player. Uh, Basically, now that we have the group there, like it's always going to be there for anybody, and it is a long term game. I didn't know that right off the bat when I started it, but it's something you definitely learn as you go, especially being as young as I
And
was.
the key thing, I look at this, no matter the size of the community, if you're able to bring one person, that's all it takes.
Yeah,
If you bring one person, then that person brings one person, then another person. Like for me, my whole story became because of my one friend Michael, because of one guy named Ramiz I met at a local event. I think I haven't talked to him since. I talked to him maybe once or twice. But it's just the funny thing is like just the different things. You met one person, and if it wasn't for these few people, there's too few people that are one of my best friends, but other people I randomly met, I wouldn't have got to the position I was in.
yeah, no, it's true. So you went from running this community, and then for a while there in Halo 5, I believe it was, you were, yeah,
HCA Halo 5.
yeah, you started running some of the larger events, the ones that all the pros were going to. How did that transition happen? You just from volunteering, you were just became so well known with everybody. They were like, "Hey, we need somebody to take the lead here."
It was a mixture of that type of stuff, as well as you count in the fact that one of the first events I was doing, so I did a few others, but I guess the one I had the complete control over was Gamers for Giving when that became an official HCS event. So, but like with everything, you have to slowly work your way up. So where I
Yeah,
was starting as a normal admin to the where I grew to be a normal was it just being a main stage referee to where then I was just kept going up to doing the bracket to where I was then going from the bracket to running the event and then to where I was running the event and doing the bracket. So the one cool thing is a lot of people don't have that patience to want to learn different aspects of the event.
yeah,
So having that experience in all the different roles and what it takes in the administrative side into the event, I guess gave me that experience, but understanding of the different positions and different roles that it takes to complete a whole event.
yeah. And that's something like being Calgary not as a big esports hub. It was something I kind of had to do myself, is learn each role individually so that I could, when I was planning events here, it was I know what I need to get it done, but it's more than one person, or that one person is running around with, it looks like their heads cut off trying to get everything done and organized and proper. And some of my fondest memories of esports, even though they were smaller events, were the ones I've been running here in Calgary. So I definitely know where you're coming from there. So what do you think for Halo? What brings it to this level of, like, it has such a loyal fan base, but it's such a small fan base? Why do you think these people stick around, or are so in love with these older games and don't move on, but they still stick around in Halo?
So with a lot of games, especially right now, the difficulty in gaming has gone quite downhill. Like a lot of the games are much simpler to play. There's a low barrier to entry
Yeah,
and a high ceiling. So something like, and then you have something like CS:GO, which is also something easy to pick up. But a lot of those past games, so even CS:GO, Halo, Gears of War, those games are quite difficult to pick up instantly,
yeah,
and to be able to then see it progress, go from there. So a lot of people now, they just don't have that patience to want to learn and understand the game. And at the time when we were growing up, Halo was the game,
yeah,
and now there's so many different options. Halo just had a different option, different. I guess you could say start to go a little bit down,
right,
but the reason the loyalty is just people have grown up playing Halo and they don't have that enjoyment of when they play Halo playing other games because of the different aspects of being able to play it. So
okay. And
it's
so
just,
so what do you think 343 has to do with Infinite to continue grow that fan base again, to make it something where
that's a long question.
it's true, and there's two sides to it too, right? There's the competitive side where all the pro players and AM players and people who want to take gaming seriously.
It's just a huge casual fan base
Yeah,
as well, and that's
exactly.
what people tend to forget on the competitive side that there's it's a huge fan base on the casual. I think the conventions really showed towards how big that casual fan base is. But
Yeah.
reality, they need a game that caters towards the casuals and keeps the competitive environment interested.
Yeah.
And it's just a good, I guess you could say, a good vanilla game. That's all the players really want. Is just vanilla experience and good communication lines to where it can continuously get improved upon, and seeing that effort is continuously getting put into the game. And yeah, that's the short Spark Notes version. It's
Yeah.
just
Do you think?
there's
Well,
a lot of things to be done.
yeah. Do you think? Well, it's kind of a loaded question, but like, do you think the Halo series would have been just as good as, or just as loved if it came out now, as it would have
No,
been back in the day? No,
no.
no.
It was because of the period, just like I said, because there's so many different games.
Yeah,
Halo would have had a lot of competition coming out. Depends what title and how it does perform. Obviously, it could be as popular as a Fortnite could be now, but in just the genre of the popular games right now, like Battle Royale is really
yeah,
on a huge portion of the popularity of games. So it's difficult. I think just because of that nostalgia and from our fan base growing up, like you have our older fan base, there's still a huge Quake community. There's still a huge. There's many different of those older games
yeah.
that people aren't.
StarCraft.
StarCraft still has a huge
Yeah,
very loyal community. So, and those games are very popular before our side. Warcraft 3, that
yeah.
one still has a huge fan base as well. And so it's just, yeah, there's many different options, many different games that can continue to grow.
Okay, so back to the competitive side. How do you feel competitive Halo is being run right now? What are your feelings and thoughts on the what is the word?
Short form, I guess you can say there's a disconnect right now of what the pro players want, what the amateur players want, what 343 wants. Everyone is giving their own advice. Everyone's all over the place, and there's just a lack of organization and lack of communication being brought forward right now,
Yeah,
to where you just have players just giving up and losing. They're just getting frustrated because they don't see a future, and unfortunately, not being seeing a future in the game they truly love is something that needs to be worked upon.
yeah, and I think a big chunk of that too is with the community so split between the older games like Halo 3 and Reach and Halo 2 and Halo CE, and then what people call the Halo 5 kids. It's like everybody, all these different communities around the same series of games has the community very split too, where tournament organizers, as much as they're running these Halo 3 events, I know there's a lot of kids that still wanted Halo 5 events. So I think that has a lot to do with that unorganization between the community and the
Yeah, and
organizers.
as a community, we all still need to improve too. Like, yeah, they're Halo 5 kids, but should we be trashing on the Halo 5 kids? No, a lot of the Halo 5 kids are the younger generation.
Yeah,
And they keep saying, oh, you guys don't understand. No, they won't understand, and they never will understand
yeah,
how it was to be a Halo 2, Halo 3 player at that period. But at the same time, those younger players, those are the players we need to be able to have something for Halo when we get older. Because we need to pass on Halo towards a younger generation to where they're going to want to have that passion and loyalty to want to continue this series. And right now, it's like I said, it's just a huge disconnect
yeah,
between everybody right now, and we need to find a way to get together. But I don't see that happening
no,
uh, until I get something until like Infinite comes out or PC. I don't know,
yeah,
but there needs to be, and it starts with 343 and utilizing their community leaders. And unfortunately, I don't think they're using them effectively.
okay. And going to 343 and the grassroots program, what is your opinions on the grassroots program, which you can speak on, and how do you think how do you think it's actually, is it benefiting the community enough? Is it worthwhile, I guess is the
In
word.
what context? In the community TOs or the content creators?
um I mean, the community TOs.
Those are two different answers.
Yeah, not the content creators. I think the tournament organizers and the people who are pulling the community
And
together.
I've had conversations with 343 about this, and I guess they were quite surprised on the feedback, but I don't think 343 understands grassroots Halo. And that for me is an issue in itself.
Okay.
That's something that needs to be worked upon. I don't think they understand the work and the commitment that it takes to be a community leader and the connection of their the players and the community of what they want to need. So fortunately I was able to talk to them and share some feedback and hopefully see some change, but right now it's they know this and it's been useless, to be honest. And Europa Halo will probably share the concerns, and they unfortunately left the grassroots program because their community leader just lost. They lost the passion.
Yeah.
They lost the drive to want to continue doing what they do, and this is my biggest frustration right now. Community leaders are more important, in my opinion, than the content creators. Content creators, they're gonna do this. They're gonna play regardless because it's a game they're good at. But at the same time, they're getting paid.
Yeah.
What we're doing, we're not getting paid for what we're doing. So we have to realize: is it worth putting this much time into Halo, and we know we're not getting anything back because of it? We're doing this because we want to grow a community and we want to be able to share our love of Halo for others.
Right.
And I don't think that understanding is there. And losing people, especially leaders, community leaders, that's catastrophic in my opinion. And the fact that that's not the topic being discussed within not just only um, the 343, it's not talked about enough in the Halo community. The Halo community, I think, is just turning a blind eye towards it. And they don't realize as well the importance of having community leaders. They see it, but will they do anything about it? I don't know. It's just the problem is the players have lost that drive to want to protest because they just fear, what's the point?
Yeah.
And that's the mentality everyone's in right now. What's the point?
Yeah.
It starts at the top.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand that view. And coming from a smaller community like mine, where Calgary Halo, there's only a couple of us that have the time, or put the time in, I should say, not always having the time to put on events, or work with the Microsoft stores, or whatever they have to do to get these events on. I think it goes very underappreciated by I want to say 343, and even sometimes the community in general, who want these events and then don't understand that, like, if they're not willing to maybe show up, or not willing to put that extra effort in themselves, those community leaders will disappear. Because it's like, if you're not going to put the effort in and nobody else is willing to put the effort in, why should the community leaders? So I definitely understand where you're coming from there. And hopefully there'll be some change, or something to reinvigorate it, at least maybe when Infinite comes out, hopefully.
But the problem is, why wait till Infinite? And that's my problem. It's like,
Yeah.
there's not much we can do to Infinite. There's a lot you can do
Yeah.
till Infinite. It's not up to me to suggest ideas constantly of how to improve. But again,
Yeah.
my opinion has been noted to them.
Yeah.
You know what? I have to hope that they have the right idea in mind. I just don't like the direction it's going, but no matter what, I will help out my locals. Whether I help out 343
Yeah.
and other Halo communities later on, I don't know. Because is it worth all the trouble?
All right. Well, I think that's enough about Halo. Let's talk about things outside of Halo, about what you're doing. You've been with Reciprocity for how long now?
Since the beginning, October 2017. So
and
almost 2 years of Reciprocity has been existing.
And so from that point, how has it been from being on the other side, from the tournament organizers, being somebody who's now getting the players together, being that person who's now sending the players to these tournaments? Is it a
Less stressful.
yeah? You just
Less stressful. Much less stressful. And you actually get to enjoy the events. Because one of the things, again, people don't realize is when you're working the events, people are like, "Oh, did you see that game?" Maybe when I'm running events, I maybe get to watch maybe the finals. Not even no, I don't even get to watch because I'm tearing down. I maybe get to watch one series of Halo the entire weekend. Do I get to explore the cities I go to? Do I get to talk to many people? I get to talk to a lot of people, but it's normally about the event. Do I get to explore the area? Nope.
yeah,
Because once we get to Saturday night work or Sunday night, we're exhausted at
yeah.
the end of it. So it's just
It's a whole different
it's
world on the other
it's a
side.
completely different world. Yeah, and it's nice to see because I don't want to get into that same routine, but yeah, that's one of the reasons why it's hard. I hate saying it, but the main reason what made me turn to Reciprocity and wanted to work with an organization or just do something, it wasn't I want to work with an organization. I just want to do something different in gaming, is when HCS went into where MLG started to run the events. And when MLG took over the events, MLG has their own staff. No problem. You know what? Great. MLG knows what they're doing. They got their own people to do it.
Right.
And after working for many years in the HCS doing events, it was frustrating to myself and many others in our group to where we were working for events for a long time. We know the game back and front, and we were excited about possibly, MLG might need an extra ref or admin or two. They
Yeah.
could probably utilize our experience and knowledge of the amateur scenes, and the fact that 343, I don't blame MLG whatsoever. 343 didn't say like, "Oh, we have some great people that have been doing events for us. That maybe you can use their advice or help." And that wasn't even suggested. I got frustrated and just basically said, "You know what? I have enough. If they're not gonna appreciate the work we were doing, I'm just gonna look and start doing something else."
No, that makes sense. So, what has been your fondest memories so far working with this reciprocity group? Is it there a certain team that you kind of were like, this has been exciting for? Was it going back to the Halo?
Every team has their unique experience
Yeah,
working with. Like, I had a huge pleasure with the PUBG team. I never watched PUBG. I didn't really give much. PUBG has now become one of my favorite esports to watch now. Rainbow Six is their own experience. Call of Duty, what a year for Call of Duty. That was an exciting time with that team. So the Halo team, of course, with the results. Punk within Street Fighter. Going into other games I never really looked into much. So Apex. So there's always something new and exciting to look forward to. But it's just what sticks for me forward is with Reciprocity for the most part, except for Elamite, because Elamite's the lone American. Um, Everyone else is from Toronto, and a lot of the people, Chad, Mark, those are GT Halo guys, Crizin. These are all GT Halo guys, and that's the coolest memory. Just to go from knowing that we were playing against each other at our local Halo events to now we're all working together in a huge organization.
yeah, that's such a cool experience and such a it's really cool when you see, especially here in Canada, see organizations like that built of locals who wanted to make something happen bigger than just themselves, and now they're running, in my opinion, one of the biggest esports organizations and some of the best content that's been out forever for esports. It's been really enjoyable to watch them grow uh, and turn into what they are today. So hats off to all of you guys over at Reciprocity doing it right on the content side, at least. And for most of your teams, I don't keep up with PUBG or any of those. Those are ones like you beforehand, probably just have never paid too much attention to. But I mean, it's been really cool to see from one team starting with Halo to now being all over these different esports. It's been really cool to see. So I guess the last question, I guess, is what do you got planned with Gamers Outreach? Anything exciting happening or?
So I guess one of the cool things with Gamers Outreach is that we were able to expand into Canada. So we had our first gaming carts being delivered to the London, Ontario Hospital, which is very exciting. We have one coming up for Toronto. We have a couple coming up for Halifax. I think we should have Calgary soon. So it's just the excitement of being able to grow and make Gamers Outreach international is a very exciting prospect.
Yeah, that's super exciting. I keep waiting for the day we can have I can help volunteer here in Calgary with you guys through programs here. I know you guys are slowly expanding outwards, and it'll be exciting to see when that does happen. And it's so much larger than just America and parts of Canada. So, yeah, it's exciting to see, and I wish you guys all the best, and can't wait to see where you guys move forward with that. So
Thank you. It's
off.
like I said, something new every day.
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it. It's been exciting for you. You've got a lot of different things on the go. So let's make it a more relaxed conversation. You got to have a big team battle against pro Halo players. You get to pick the players on your team, pro or AMs or casters, I guess. You got to pick your team for a big team battle, Halo 3.
Is the accomplishment to win or have fun?
Have fun. If you win, that's just a plus.
I gotta go with my Milkhouse squad. I play a lot with these guys. Lady Echidna, Caveman, Saltine Squad, Ordained, Kinnan, all those groups of people I play a lot of big team with. There's no people I have more fun playing with Halo with right now than those guys.
Yeah.
And you know what? We probably would have an absolute blast. They would trash talk like no others. And yeah, we'd probably get destroyed, but we'd have a fun time doing it.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Like, that's what people have to remember. It's just, again, it's competitive, and yeah, I could pick all the top pros, casters, and stuff, but if I had a choice, I'd want to play with people I have the most fun playing with.
That's more important by far. Well, thank you so much for being on here, Martin. I really appreciate it. Thanks for an insight into what you feel is going on in the Halo scene, what you've been going on and doing with your time in gaming, and the different things you've done. And I really appreciate you coming on to the podcast.
No problem. I look forward to hearing it after and checking out what you got in store for the future.
All right, man. Thank you guys so much. Please leave a like on the podcast. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.